Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one rated sportsbook app out there. I am your host, Rudolph, joined by AJ Haefele, and today the race has begun. I guess you could say some people will be pushing it to the limit, trying to avoid the echoes of the past, you might say.
Certainly, there is a method to the madness.
Definitely true. We already have some people, since we'll be talking about odds on the show today. Someone's already 210, so very interesting.
You know what? I'm a little nervous that they're going to get more work done on day one of their progress than we are tonight.
Yeah, I think there's a very good chance of that happening at this point, I would say. So
I've spent all weekend learning how to use portals properly.
There you go. He's ready. He's ready.
Because I was so confused on Thursday that I didn't know what was going on, but now I feel much better about it. Anything after that, though, will be a foreign language.
Wing it. That's what they're gonna do. I don't know. We might see someone get like 7-10 today. The way things are going, we'll see.
Yeah, right. I mean, the way that this is, no problem apparently.
But we're gonna be looking at some oddities around the NHL today. Initially inspired by Evan's tweet of the Norris Trophy odds, which let me pull them up right here, show you guys. Oh, is this the wrong channel? There it is. There's the one. I mean, he's circled for us nicely that Ryan Graves is 1-18 to win the Norris Trophy, so that's interesting to say the least. Josi at 1-4 being the reigning champ. Carlson and Hedman up there. Brent Burns is a bit surprising, but I guess the Norris is really to the defenseman who scores a lot more than the actual best defensive one. But
there are 3 names on that list where I'm looking at them and I'm like, why are you here? And it's Ryan Graves, Neil Pionk, and Alexander Edler. Yeah, I honestly, I don't think Gio should be anywhere near that list either anymore. But I mean, Gio's like 2 years removed from winning one.
Yeah, but based on last year, it certainly looked like he lost a step.
Well, and like I think he's 37 now.
Yeah,
his season 2 years ago was a massive outlier, even for a great career like what he's had.
Yep,
it was a huge outlier.
Yeah,
and so like I'm fine with him being on there. Same thing with Ryan Suter, where you're like, hey, this is respect to a consistent and high end career. You don't think either one of those guys really have a shot at it? I mean, Torrey Krug to be ahead of Quinn Hughes is downright laughable.
Yeah, there's no defense there.
Like, hold on, I'm looking around here and I don't see St. Louis's actual best defenseman on here.
Yeah, no Parayko, nope.
There's no Colton Parayko, but Torrey Krug is on. This list is so weird.
It is very strange. And like, I can't remember the last time someone won 2 Norrises back-to-back even. So seeing Josi at the top is a bit odd even.
Yeah, and then teammates Brent Burns and Erik Karlsson.
Yeah, both having great odds.
Coming from like being in the top 6 of this conversation, top 7 of this conversation when they just finished at the bottom of the league. The Norris Trophy is not going to go to a guy that doesn't even make the postseason, let alone doesn't come within a mile of it. So it's a little odd that they're as high as they are on this list, although I have said and do feel San Jose has a nice chance to bounce back this year to at least competitive levels.
I also don't understand how you can give Makar and Hughes this much love and leave Dahlin down here at 1-33.
Yeah, that's Dahlin. See, Dahlin feels more appropriate because it's like his team's probably going to let him down. It doesn't matter what kind of season he has. His team is probably going to be a big reason why he does not make very much noise in this thing. Which would have been a perfect justification for putting Karlsson and Burns down there as well.
Yeah, that's That's why I'm so confused by that.
I'd like Shea Theodore is the same as Darlene, but Shea Theodore's on a cup favorite out west and is on a top pairing. Pietrangelo is way the hell up there. So why not roll the dice with one of those two guys?
There you go.
Yeah, Ryan Graves being on this list at all is
nuts. Yeah.
It's wild to me. And then having better Norris odds than Dougie Hamilton. Ryan Graves and Neil Pionk are on a Norris Trophy odds list.
Did someone misread the James Norris Trophy as the Bud Light plus minus award? Is that what happened here? I don't know what to tell you.
It makes you wonder. I mean, what was Neil Pionk's plus minus last year? Wasn't even good.
It's true. I don't even know.
Let's find out.
Yeah. Let's see. He was
10.
10. That's decent. It's no Ryan Graves, but that's decent.
I mean, plus 10 on a team that gave up a decent amount of goals. Okay.
He was
minus you're not
6
putting
in 4 playoff games, but
it's really like somebody went down the list and was like, okay, here's a bunch of teams that this is their number one defenseman that also scores points. Let's go. And then somehow Ryan Graves sneaks on here ahead of Sam Girard. What?
Yeah, that's crazy.
And Alexander Edler, there are several sets of teammates on here too.
Yeah, there are multiple sets.
Because you have Burns and Carlson, you have Pietrangelo and Theodore.
Yep.
You have Makar and Graves, and then you have Hughes and Edler.
That's so weird.
Yeah. No Dougie Hamilton, but no Jacob Slavin anywhere.
I don't know what to tell you.
And Torrey Krug, but no Colton Parayko.
It's all right. Just bet your money on Makar and make the 10-1. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it when JT says he spent $20 on worse things.
True. True story. Probably quite easy to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, just go to a gas station.
There you go. Buy 4 sandwiches. You won't enjoy yourself. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway. Spend the rest of the day feeling the deep regret and shame.
So the Norris is just such a weird trophy. We've talked before about all of the trophies have their biases in the voting and all of that, but the Norris in particular is one where not only does the conversation come up of what is good defense,
yeah,
but then we've seen this award be given out to high scoring defensemen. We've seen this award be given out as essentially a career achievement award. Drew Doughty basically won it because of that in a year where he was good, but probably not the best defenseman in the league.
Yeah.
So it's
that was the
weird.
year where voters had decided Drew Doughty was winning the Norris because Carlson won it the year before.
Yep.
And they were like, Drew Doughty is winning this award this year. And they just made sure that was the case. Ignored the season entirely.
Our boy Patrick from the Rockies beat asks, when was the last time Avs had a defender as high as Makar ranking 5th in Norris contention? I don't know off the top of my head, but I'd have to guess it was probably Adam Foote. I
was going to say maybe Rob Blake.
Yeah, that era for sure. Because it's been a long time since the Avs have really had a top defenseman like that.
Yeah. Adam Foote wasn't even ever viewed like that. He was teams. Yeah, he was 10th. Gave him tons of respect, but
10th in the Norris in 02-03 was Foote, and that's the closest he ever got.
Yeah, I wonder if Eric Johnson ever snuck some votes for one of his decent years.
I'm sure he got some votes. Did he do well enough? No, at least not enough votes. Yeah,
he's never gotten a Norris vote. Wow. Not even a 5th place vote from a homer.
Yeah. So Rob Blake finished 5th in the Norris in 02-03, and that would be the most recent Av to do it. He also finished 3rd, in in 01-02 and fourth in 2001. That was partially with the Kings, but
hey, Francois Beauchemin got a vote his last year as an Av.
What, he finished like 27th or something?
20th.
Yeah, man. That's so.
His first year as an Av, sorry.
Cale Makar
Funny.
is now the like third highest Norris vote finisher for the Avs ever.
Yeah. It's basically the only award that they haven't been competitive in. They've had some Art Ross winners, they've had some MVPs. I guess they haven't really been ultra competitive in the Vezina. Patrick Waugh, I think, had some top finishes, but I don't think he ever won it as an Av. And then Varley and Craig Anderson.
Varley arguably robbed of one.
Basically, I think that one came down to shutouts.
Yeah, maybe.
Because that was the year Varley gave up a bunch of goals in the last minute of games. He had shutouts going.
Yep.
And Tuukka Rask had like 8 or 9 of them. And it just was like, oh, man. Yeah, like they've had some close finishes in Vezinas, but I don't know that they've ever won one.
Yeah, Anderson
then
got a fourth.
The Norris just hasn't. It has eluded them. Not super surprising because you look at the history of the Avs and really like Bork was at the very, very end of his career. Foote was never really like that guy. He didn't have the offense to push for that award. Blake was really just about it. And now it's Cale Makar. You know, they have Tyson Barrie, John Michael Lyles, some great puck movers in their history.
The defense just wasn't there. Yeah.
We're not good enough defenders. And then Eric Johnson, good defender, didn't have the offense. So now, you know, Cale Makar's got the hype train behind him, and he's gotta do it. The race is on.
Yep.
Cale Makar, Bowen Byram. Which one wins the Norris first?
There you go. Have the Avs won every other trophy? I believe, other than like the new ones, like the Messier Award or whatever. But because Vapa won the
Art Ross.
Did Hayduk win the Richard? I'm sure Sakic won it.
I think he won it. I think Hayduk won it the first year. It was a thing. It was an award. Yeah. Yeah, Vezina. The Vezina. Waugh did not win it. He had a second place finish.
Yeah, so it's Vezina and the Norris that they don't have.
Yeah, Vezina. They've had a bunch of close calls though.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, Forsberg and Sakic have won MVPs.
Yeah, Waugh had 5 top 5 finishes for the Vezina.
Jeez.
Craig Anderson had the one. Varley had the year where he finished second. So,
I mean, if Makar wins a Norris next year, that means he had a huge season. So, yeah, it would probably have an impact on his contract. It's going to be more expensive if that happens. But
it's one of his Schedule B bonuses too.
Yeah, which not that big a deal, but
yeah, that's only like a $500,000 cap hit.
Yep.
Just because he won that award.
Worth every penny if he wins the award. I mean,
you're not complaining about that at all. You're like, okay, cool.
So, yeah, interesting to look at the Avs award history, but we do have to take our first period break there, as I let you guys know about Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer here at DNVR. You can get dozens of flavors. They're probably up to like 30 flavors now, to be honest with you, when you include all of their seasonal stuff. They have all sorts of crazy stuff, but give them a look. You can go to the Breck Beer Locator online to find them at a local liquor store near you, or if you're here in Denver, you can go down to the farmhouse in Littleton and get curbside pickup and get $5 off when you use code DNVR. Again, check them out. I love all of their beers personally because I love beer. We also, of course, have DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 rated sportsbook app out there. Look, if you want to bet on all this stuff and take our advice, which might not be the greatest idea based on my track record, every time I bet on someone and they get injured for the rest of the season. So don't go with me. And I promise I won't bet on Cale Makar just for that reason. But AJ has some good bets out here.
Yo, we knocked it out of the park with that Anthony Johnson.
Yeah, that's true. Literally knocked it out. Sometimes lucky, but you have a bunch of amazing odds boosts every single day with DraftKings Sportsbook. And right now, with basketball just around the corner, if you sign up for a new account and use code DNVR, you have the chance to basically guaranteed double your money on opening day for basketball. You can bet on any team, and as long as they cover a 75-point spread, that is, as long as they don't lose by more than 75 points, you double your money. Seems pretty easy. That's all I'm saying. So,
unless you're betting on UConn women's basketball, you have a good chance.
You're exactly right. So go on in there. Go double your money just because you can with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download their top-rated sportsbook app now and use promo code DNVR when you sign up to get that 75-point spread on opening night. Again, code DNVR when you sign up. It helps us because they know we sent them to you. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. Moving on here.
Rudo,
yeah.
We have two are now at 210.
Who else is at 210?
Blood Legion.
I don't even know who that is. Excellent.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Limit actually just pushed over Huntsman too. So
yeah, it looks maybe. Oh yeah. This looks like the next area. Cool. So moving quickly.
Wow, off to a really fast start.
They're going to be at 410 before we even start.
Yeah, right. They're going to be on the same boss as we are.
Yeah, exactly right. Okay. Next up on our list of oddities around the NHL, we have a list of NHL playoff wins since 99-2000. It's an interesting list for a couple of reasons. First of all, Florida has 6 playoff wins in 20 years. Granted, there was a canceled season in there, but...
Yikes. Oh, yeah, that's the reason.
I mean, you talk about like these disasters of a team over in the 2000s. You think about like Edmonton and all these teams picking first overall all the time.
Yeah, you think Edmonton and Buffalo, total bottom feeders.
But look, Buffalo's barely in the bottom 10. Like...
Yeah, well, and then you remember it was 20 years, and Edmonton had the one cup run that keeps all of this afloat.
Yep.
Buffalo made the playoffs and won a couple of rounds in the early part of the 2000s. The one that really surprised me here was Columbus, because we think of them now as a pretty competitive team, a team with some really good players. For a while now, it feels like 100 years ago that the Rick Nash trying to get out of the going nowhere Blue Jackets stalemate took place, which that trade kickstarted the most competitive era in Blue Jackets history.
Yeah. A team that has only made it out of the first round once, I believe. And they had to take down Tampa Bay to do it.
Yeah. It's just, for me, that was the one that really caught my eye because I was like, oh, wow. I forgot that for such a long part of their history, they just didn't do anything. Which, again, I thought made when they went all in at the deadline, I thought it was totally worth it. That fan base needed something to buy into.
Yep.
And they've recovered beautifully from it. They've handled their business since. For sure.
They did not have the falling out, the dropout that a lot of people thought they were gonna after that.
Yeah. They just never bottomed out. We kept expecting it and kept waiting for it. And we were like, look, they went all in. They did this. They did that. This is going to happen, right? It just never took place. They've been competitive. And now, they've, I guess, technically won a playoff series against Toronto.
Yeah.
And then, we'll see how good they are this year. But that one surprised me. Also, the Rangers surprised me being right in the middle because it felt like they were so good for such a long time.
Yeah, in Hank's prime, it felt like they were perennial contenders.
Yeah. So for them to have only been middle of the pack caught me off guard. Obviously, the Avs being where they are, you remember their early 2000 success where they won lots of playoff series.
The vast majority of that comes from there. Yeah.
Yeah. That Chicago on here with 3 cups, but is
only 81 wins. Yeah.
30 wins behind Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Is like,
and then you have the other major disparity, which is 51 wins, the least with a cup in Carolina. And San Jose, poor San Jose, 104 wins with no cups.
Well, in Carolina's the one that's interesting because every time they make the playoffs, they win rounds.
They have like big runs, but they just don't make it very often.
Right. It's like they miss out on the postseason several times, and then they make it, and okay, we'll see you in the conference finals.
Yeah. Florida Marlins-esque a little bit.
Straight up. Like they were right in the middle of this, and it was like, wow, they 51, huh?
Yep. It's a little surprising.
The other part of this, the best Canadian team.
Yeah. Ottawa, the best Canadian team.
Would that have been something that you would have thought had we looked at this list blindly?
No. What I'm trying. Were the Flames the last Canadian team to make the finals?
The Canucks.
Oh, that's right. And then they burned their city down. Yep.
That's right.
Again. But not many. The last 20 years, not many Canadian teams in the finals proper. You have the Canucks and the Flames did it, and it was in. Y'all know. Anyway, just a bit interesting to see that Canada hasn't really gotten that close outside of Vancouver to winning a cup.
It's also such a strange talking point that we get into every year where it's like, oh, all the Canadian teams are eliminated. Okay.
That matters to the Canadians.
Well, it's not like Maple Leafs fans are going to suddenly turn around and root for the Canadiens to win. If Montreal is the last team standing, they're not going to be like, for Canada. No, they're not going to do that.
I think a lot of Canadians do that, though.
I think they're going to be like, F you guys, you're still the Habs and I hate your guts.
I mean, I think there's definitely some of that, but I think a lot of people just root for the Canadian team left as well.
I don't know how prevalent it is. I mean, there are definitely dudes that do it, but I also wonder if that's just a column that we have to read every year because Damian Cox doesn't know what else to say at that point.
Fair enough.
You know, like I'm just not sure if there's like that's like his like okay. It's that time of year. Fire that article up, baby. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I would never be like, go Minnesota for the Central Division or anything, you know? No. I'll be burning hell. No, I don't. I wish you no success.
Interesting little tidbit. If they go back one more year, Dallas would get a cup as well.
Yeah.
And that would mean the only Central Division teams without a cup are Nashville and Minnesota.
And Winnipeg.
And that's true, Winnipeg, yeah. But they weren't Winnipeg for most of this era.
I was also a little surprised that Winnipeg only had the 12. And then I thought about it and I was like, okay, well, they missed the playoffs for a couple of years. They got swept by the Ducks that one year. They went to the conference finals that one year. And then I don't know that they've been out of the first round.
Yeah, they couldn't have been because getting to the conference finals is guaranteed 8, right? So
yeah, because they lost that series 4-2.
Yep. So that was 10. So they have 2 wins outside of that run in the playoffs. Pretty brutal.
Yeah, I'm. Oof.
Dude, they should. The Preds need to raise that banner. They got to add another one.
Yeah, the Preds were 19th, 18th on this list. I mean, cool. It's also 2 cups for the Kings. Like,
yeah, true. 2
56 of them, and they had 2 cups. It wasn't like they had the one hot run. You look at Washington, St. Louis, and Carolina. You say, oh, well, that team just got hot one time and went and did the thing.
They got hot twice.
Yeah, they got hot twice. They had Jonathan Quick. They won a cup when Jonathan Quick was one of the worst Stanley Cup winning goaltenders ever. Statistically, I mean, not bashing on Jonathan Quick.
Right. Sure.
Jonathan Quick had one of the worst cup winning years for a starting goalie in modern history, and it was like, huh.
And they did it as the 8th seed.
Yeah, that was the 8th seed team that came back 3-0 on the Sharks.
Yep. What a difference.
Well, and I wasn't surprised that Washington didn't have more, because Washington, the entire Ovechkin era, they lose in the second round to Pittsburgh every year.
Yep. By 2014 or 15, that was the meme for Washington. Yeah.
It was just like they just couldn't. They kept finding their way to Pittsburgh over and over and over and over.
So,
which, as we see here, went quite well for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh doing all right, picking up 2 of those cups being back-to-backs even. So,
yeah, that's the difference. What's funny is that they gave, like, the league had like a 5-year head start on them because they were awful at the start of this.
Yep.
It was the end of Lemieux, Yager, and then it was that 5-year period where they drafted at the top.
Eventually got Crosby, Malkin, and Fleury.
Yeah, and Jordan Stahl is the 3rd overall.
Yeah.
Like, pretty good group of dudes to build around.
Turns out, draft and develop works when you have high picks sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, you look at this, the Caps. I'm actually blown away at how how early they lost so often.
Yep. It was like automatic, man, every year.
Yeah, I mean, a quarterfinal loss, a quarterfinal loss, a quarterfinal loss, and 3 semifinals losses.
Yep.
Conference semifinals, not
divisional.
Yeah. That's crazy. And then they hire Trotz, they lose in the second round 3 years in a row, and then they win the Stanley Cup, and then they followed up with 2 first-round losses. I'm actually surprised at this, because this is a team that Washington, in the Ovechkin era, has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons with 100 points.
They were one of the best regular season teams. Tampa the same way, honestly. Up until this year, they had that one cup from back in the early aughts, but for a long, long time, they were murderous in the regular season and just couldn't get the job done.
When Tampa was so like all over the board because, they won in the early 2000s. Like, they win the Stanley Cup kind of out of nowhere-ish. Like, that's a good team. But that group never really got close again. Then they missed the postseason. Then they go to a conference final. And then they miss the postseason and don't come close again. Then they lose a cup final and a conference final, miss the postseason, lose the conference final, have the greatest regular season in modern history, and lose in the first round, and then win a Stanley Cup.
Just madness.
Like, they are such an all or nothing. Like, because you go in that time frame, in this 20-year time frame, they missed the postseason 8 times. They missed the playoffs 8 times, and they're still 5th on that list.
But when they make it, they're kind of like Carolina. They regularly make the conference finals. They just do it a little bit more often.
Like, they have a couple of early round flameouts on here, but multiple Stanley Cup. They've made 3 cup finals and 1, 2, 3 conference finals.
That's a lot of W's.
That's the 8 times they missed the playoffs and 6 times they got to the last 4 teams. They've been all over. It's crazy, man. That's such an interesting. I don't know. I just think that's interesting that history, we view it that way, that it's worked out that way.
On that note, we do need to take our second period break with Chevalier Mortgage. Mike and Virginia are not only diehard Broncos fans, they are also CSU alums, but they've supported DNVR for a long time as well as subscribers. They're a husband and wife team with over 15 years of financial services experience. You reach them at dnvrmortgage.com or call Virginia directly at 303-257-6578. Since your home is likely to be one of your largest assets in your mortgage, your largest debt, they believe it's vital to consider your full financial picture when purchasing a home. This includes considering your short-term and long-term planning goals, your investments, and your tax situation. Mike and Virginia will work tirelessly to find the best loan situation for you. Again, head on over to dnvrmortgage.com and you can enter to win yourself a free DNVR shirt or hat when you do, but more importantly, get set up with a free consultation to discuss all of your options. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, with Rudo and AJ here. Let's see, we got a few more odds to show you here. Let me see if I can't pull them up real quick here on the Hart Trophy. Of course, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook here as I'm loading in, selecting the NHL. McKinnon is in second place at plus 500 or 5-1 odds, with McDavid in first with 450. So 1 to 4.5 or 2 and 9, I suppose, would be correct. We have some other names on here as I bring it up. Oh, we got to zoom in on that a little bit. There we go. So you have McDavid, Draisaitl, and Matthews and Panarin at the top as the top five, followed by Kucherov closely. And then we see a pretty big drop down to Pettersson, Eichel, Point. Continue on down the list. I like they have to specify which Sebastian Aho that they're talking about. I do like that a little bit.
Yeah, that gets me. That's funny.
But nothing quite as crazy as the Norris Trophy here, I would say.
Yeah, no, none of this really. None of these guys. I mean, these are all kind of guys that you would expect to be in there, right? Best players on their teams, leading men, all of the guys that top centers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep. So what if we drift into the long shots a little bit? You have Rantanen at plus 5,000. Keep on going. Makar at plus 10,000.
Yeah, Makar and
Landy's up there too.
Yeah, but boy, how wild would it be if Gabe Landeskog had a Hart Trophy season,
100-point season in a 56-game year or something crazy?
He wins the Hart and Nate doesn't.
Oh man, that would be something else. I don't stay away from this area. Don't bet on those.
Yeah, I mean Doughty, Kessel, Ekblad. Yeah, Tyler Sagan's on this list.
I'd take Dahlin over all of those guys.
Yeah, definitely. Vladimir Tarasenko and Tyler Sagan are on this list despite injuries.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
That's spooky. Definitely spooky time down there.
Hey, the Landeskog and Makar have the same odds. Tells you what it's like for a defenseman and try to win this award. Because so many people are like, defensemen have their own award. And it's like, yeah, they have one of them. But all the other awards are geared to forwards. Defenseman, there isn't even a defensive defenseman award. There isn't even an award for defensemen who excel at defense. It's you have to score. You have to score
plus minus.
You have to score X number of points to even be considered. Jacob Slavin wasn't even on the Norris odds. So, yeah, this is I don't know. This is an interesting list.
The top was so strong, and then it just goes absolutely off the rails in the longer odds, guys.
It was almost like they just went out on the street and were like, "Do you follow hockey? Who's your favorite player?
Name a hockey player."
Yeah, name a guy that you might have heard of.
They pick one from each city.
Yeah.
You have it does feel like that a little bit with Ekblad getting thrown on there.
They have Vasilevsky, Point, and Stamkos on here.
Yeah. Watch
And
the
Kucherov.
finals. Kucherov up high, yeah. Boy.
Okay. Whatever.
If nothing else, this should tell you that hockey is tough to bet on.
Yeah.
Like, I believe, like, statistically, it is confirmed the hardest to bet on of the big four, is it not?
Probably, man. You look at who wins the cup. It's not very rarely do we ever look back and go, "Oh my god, I can't believe they won the Stanley Cup that year."
Yeah.
There will be teams where it's like, "Wow, I can't believe they did as well as they did." Vegas in the expansion year.
Yep.
But that Washington won the cup that year, nobody was shocked about it.
True.
It was mostly just like, well, it's about damn time, fellas.
Yep. There is quite a bit of that. Despite the parity in the league, there's usually a handful of teams that stand out, and one of them usually goes the distance.
Like how we get there are lots of surprises along the way. But at the very, very end, very rarely do we come out of it being like, wow, they won the cup?
Yeah, true.
I mean, if it was ever going to happen, you would think it would have been the COVID Cup, right? But
Tampa Bay wins it. Yep.
And everybody was just kind of like, yeah, well, they were the best team coming in.
Guess this cup is legit then.
Yeah, like, oh, okay, well.
So, I don't think the Seattle team will be as good as Vegas.
I don't either, but I think that the flat cap could open up some of the possibilities for them to do like what Vegas did with the Marchessault Smith Theodore trades.
Look, they could totally be a playoff team, but I don't think they're going to come back close to winning a cup.
I think that there are going to be based on what we looked at when we did it.
Yeah. And
they should absolutely be able to make a playoff, a team that competes. It might end up being like an 82-point team, but they should be solid, right? I feel like the days you look at what good did it do to the markets for Nashville and Columbus and Minnesota to just be so awful.
Yeah.
For so long.
Yeah,
they were awful. Like they were just loaded up with fourth line guys. They just got crushed. This expansion, these two expansion cycles are designed to get these teams competitive and up and running. And that's awesome. Like,
I do wonder a little bit about plan of action. Like, I know originally Vegas was going into this with a long-term mindset, but you hire someone as GM or president or whatever he is, like George McPhee, and that guy likes to go for it. So when things started clicking into place, he went for it.
Yeah. And nobody there feels bad about it. The fan base has immediately latched onto that team. They're already the kind of success that, we just look at that list. They've had quadruple the success of Florida in 3 years.
Yep.
Vegas. It's hard to ever look at these expansion experiences and say that they should not have more aggressive rules in every league when expansion happens inevitably again.
Yep. If you want to actually grow the game into those markets, it makes a lot of sense.
You want to drop a competitive team in there. That's how you do it. Have a more competitive expansion style, and we saw with Vegas it worked well. With Seattle, they're going to have every opportunity to make a good team. There are still going to be GMs who overreact and do dumb things because that's what GMs do every single offseason. If you don't have the Jim Bennings of the world, running teams,
yep,
those guys have to be out there doing that.
The thing about Vegas, yes, they're exempt from this expansion draft, but right now they're begging someone to take some of their caps.
Yeah. They actually are in a position where they're like, can we maybe get in on this?
A little bit of
somebody
bit of cap dump, yeah.
Yeah, they would love that.
So they're definitely in a weird spot themselves.
Yeah, and because the league is like no funny business, you're not going to see teams trading somebody to Vegas to bury a team or to bury a guy on Vegas and then like have him sent back or something.
Right. Yeah.
Because the league is going to be like shenanigans. We're calling shenanigans. Sorry.
Yep. It's going to be super interesting to see how teams navigate it with the flat cap, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Because some teams are going to be in pretty dire straits.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Islanders are going to struggle.
Yep.
There's going to be good players available from the New York Islanders. There's no way around that.
Tampa Bay losing players this year, and they're going to lose more in the expansion draft. Like
100%, man. Like they can't. I mean, you look at the Islanders just off their defense. They've got 4 guys that they really like that they wish they could protect in Mayfield, Pelech, Pulak, and Leddy.
Yep.
You know, it wouldn't kill them to lose Nick Leddy and $5.5 million off their cap. Like they could live with that. But then at forward, you know, they're going to have a guy like Jordan Eberle is going to be available. They're going to have good, like solid
NHL players. Yep.
That are going to be hanging around. You know, they may not even protect Varley. They may expose Varley and be like, please take this guy. If Sorokin has the kind of year that they think he could. You know, like there's going to be teams out there that need the help that are going to be like, just take the big contract. It's only for 2 years. He's a good player. Do your thing.
Yeah. It'll be very interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked out our mock expansion draft, highly recommend that episode over on YouTube.
Yeah. The last week we did a whole series of episodes about the expansion draft. From the simulation to what teams did during the Vegas draft to where the Avs are. Yep. We covered the shit out of it.
So if that's your style, like the video, that helps us a ton. Subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate that. It helps us. But I guess, and final thoughts on the oddities we've seen today in the NHL, AJ?
They're odd.
They are odd. Definitely. Someone better at betting than me can probably make a lot of money on those Norris betting things, but
yeah, there's 4 at 2 of 10 now.
There's 4. All right. So they're moving quick. They're moving quick out here.
Yeah, we gotta get out of here so we can go do other things.
Indeed. There's some racing going on, and we gotta go watch it and get prepared to do our own thing.
Yep.
So
too true.
Thank you, everyone, watching, listening, consuming the podcast, however you may. We appreciate all y'all every single day. We will be back tomorrow, and then Thursday and Friday, I believe it's going to be Evan and I, as AJ being all fancy, moving into his new house. So
yeah,
we will see y'all on the next one.